Let's take a look at some of the challenges organizations face around storing documents against records in Business Central. Oftentimes, we find that the process of getting files stored against records in BC can be a little bit clunky. We also find that different people in the organization may store things and name them differently, which can cause problems down the road when it comes to searching and finding information because not everything is named consistently. Also, documents are a lot of times stored within the Business Central database, which can bloat that database over time. Let's take a look at how we can solve some of these issues. Let's begin. And what I wanted to do is start kind of at the end of the process so that you can see the outcome of storing all of the files within Datahaven. And the perfect place to do that is from the vendor ledger entry screen. As you can see here, we have a payment on the vendor ledger. And on the right-hand side,
Datahaven has automatically organized all transactions, documents, and email related to this payment into a virtual, context-aware folder structure that delivers comprehensive visibility across every transaction.
So we got the vendor acknowledgement, support, the PO that went to the vendor. We also have our receipt documents and the invoice that came in. All of that is stored in one location and allows users to access the information they need without having to jump to a posted purchase invoice or navigate to a receipt. All information is available to users on screen. Now that we've seen the final result on the vendor ledger entry, let's take a look at how the files get entered into the system. To do that, we've created a purchase order within Business Central, as you can see on your screen. And on the right-hand side, the Datahaven folder structure looks very different because now we're focused on documents that relate to this specific transaction or this purchase order. With Datahaven, it has two main capabilities in terms of the document capture. We have the ability to, one, capture a transaction at any given time. So if you want to, let's say, capture a snapshot of this PO, we can click the capture to Datahaven. And when the folder structure updates, you'll see that now we've got a PDF copy of the Business Central purchase order. This can be very beneficial if you have changes that take place throughout the process of the order and you want to capture a snapshot of it at any given time. When it comes time to archive support documents, such as an email, that's probably the most common. We want to capture email for our records later on. Datahaven has the ability to allow users to drag and drop those files. So, for example, if I wanted to show an example of storing, let's say, a support document, I can simply drag this email onto the Datahaven fact box. It's going to prompt the user to identify the type of file that's being stored. In this case, I'm going to mark it as purchase order support. And Datahaven uses key information from Business Central and how we labeled the file to create the name. As you can see here, it is marked as purchase order support. We have the date that it was added, the vendor that it applies to, and also the purchase order number have all been attached to that file name and will make it easily to search later on. Datahaven also, with that subtype or file naming capability, can really help organizations find the information they need the first time. For example, in the second email that I'm going to drag and drop, it's a vendor acknowledgement, but the subject line simply says thank you. If I dragged and dropped this with a subject line like thank you, it's going to be very hard to find this acknowledgement down the road. So with Datahaven, I'm going to drag and drop this file, and we will mark this as a vendor acknowledgement. Now you can see that when we stored that email, even though it had a subject line of thank you, Datahaven has renamed it as vendor acknowledgement. That's going to be more useful to employees when they're searching for files. They're not going to be searching for email marks thank you. They're going to be searching for an email for a vendor acknowledgement. And now this is going to be easily identifiable within the Datahaven fact box, as well as when users are searching for it. Now, in addition to the two files that we just added to the purchase order, One of the great things about Datahaven is we also offer a feature called deep data linking. And what that means is when you store a file once, it's going to be visible across all relevant areas within Business Central. To highlight that, let's actually open up the purchase order line folder. And that folder is going to show you files that are attached to each item on this order. So for example, if I open up the first one, now we can see all agreement documents, specifications, certificates of analysis that can even go down to the lot level. All of that is visible directly from the purchase order without having to navigate to each individual item. And that's a concept, as I mentioned before, that we use called deep data linking, where we are aware not only of the document itself, but how it relates to all areas within Business Central. So as we've just seen in this section, Datahaven helps organizations streamline the process of archiving files using drag and drop technology, also being able to upload anything from the network. And we do it in a way that's going to ensure that the names of those files are stored consistently. And also when storing those files, that it's tagged with Dynamics data that ensures that it's visible throughout the organization, no matter what department you're in. If you'd like more information, please reach out to the Datahaven team. We'd be happy to show you a deep dive into the software and learn about your requirements.